Okay, welcome. I'm Jill Davey, and this is our True North Insight channel with a drop-in meditation Zoom class and the recording and practice of that. So I was sharing with the let me just make sure that everybody's muted here. One moment. There's just somebody joining, so I want to make sure it doesn't pop up on the screen. Just taking a moment. So I'll just go ahead. Yeah, I was sharing with the Zoom gathering here that this week there seemed a clear theme that was showing up in different connections with people through the week of something that was asking for attention. And it's nice for me when it seems clear what's showing up. And so the topic, the practice tonight is I'm calling it protection. That there were several different arisings in different groups or friend gatherings, family gatherings, other types of gatherings, courses, and things like that, where people are sharing that they not feeling safe with others. And in that place of wanting protection from harm, there's lots of different ways of responding to that, and some of them are withdrawing, or just not blocking someone out of your life, kind of thing. Blaming others, like you're the problem, and proliferation of mind states, and really fueling a lot of past and future references around people or around situations, that they've always been this way and they're going to keep being that way, that kind of mind states, or escalating the conflict, lashing back, lashing out, and probably lots of other ways that it shows up that I'm not thinking of right now. And so there's quite a few teachings on protection from the Buddha. And the one I'm sharing tonight is from, for those that like to read the suttas, it's from a collection called the Samyutta Nikaya 3.5. And the title of it is Atta Rakita Sutta. Atta means self. And this word Rakita, this is in Pali, the language the teachings from the Buddha were first written down in. This word means self-protection. So Atta Rakita, self-protection, protecting the self. And so that word Rakita, when I looked it up, we can flesh it out a little bit more. It means to protect, and also means strength was part of the definition. Strength, which is interesting because we think sometimes strength in our culture can be correlated with aggression or harm. And here, self-protection, part of the definition of this is strength, but it's really an inner strength, an inner stability, or perhaps. So to protect, strength, shelter, lovely word there, shelter, sense of inner shelter, safe, or preserve. Some of the other what's the word? Like that's, if that's the root word, then some of the other compound words around this, rocket, well, it doesn't matter. I won't try and pronounce that. It goes on to say to observe, which I think is very interesting, that that's part of this, is to observe. There's that piece of mindfulness, of attending what's really happening here, what's happening to me internally, what's the dynamic, what's happening in these relationships. So there, to observe, mindfulness is right there in part of this self-protection definition. So it says to observe, guard, take control of, and then it said control with reference to the heart. Well, they use the word chitta, meaning heart mind, the heart of awareness, the aware heart. To control the heart, that's very interesting. So we'll talk a bit more about what that might mean. And then also control, it says with reference to the heart and good character, meaning this is something we call sila, which means our ethics, our values, our moral guidelines and intentions that we guide our conduct in our life. What's our personal values, or what are our Buddhist values, if you're following those type of precepts of that guide your life. Yeah, so self-protection has all of these qualities of strength, protection, guarding, sheltering, observing, taking care of. So many beautiful qualities in there. Very, very wonderful. And so I'll just share a few excerpts from this teaching. This is written as a conversation that the Buddha was having with King Pasenadi from Kosala. And actually, King Pasenadi had this insight in his practice. He said, you know, in seclusion, this train of thought arose in my awareness. And so he's describing an insight he had in his practice to the Buddha, and then the Buddha confirms his insight. Yeah. So part of this says, he says, while I was alone in seclusion, this train of thought arose in my awareness, which I really like, that awareness. This train of thought arose in awareness. It's not like I thought, or I figured out, or I understood. It's just, oh, this arose, and this is how insights often show. Who have themselves protected and who leaves themselves unprotected? This was the question that arose. Who have themselves protected and who leave themselves unprotected? Then it occurred to me, those who engage in bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct, and mental misconduct leave themselves unprotected. Now that's very interesting, because he's saying, I myself, if I'm behaving in harmful ways with my actions, my speech, and my mind, I'm leaving myself unprotected. You know, you see the turn there. It's like, you know, for us, it would seem like I'm the one causing harm to other people through my misconduct. And so he goes on, even though a squadron, a big army, a squadron of elephant troops might protect them, a squadron of cavalry troops, a squadron of chariot troops, a squadron of infantry troops might protect them, still they leave themselves unprotected. So even if you have a whole army of elephants, cavalry, chariots, and infantry, you're still unprotected. Why is that? Because all of those are external protections, not an internal one. So no matter how much we reinforce our armament, and barricade people from our hearts, arm ourselves with our words. I mean, this is obviously also happening literally in the world of war. But even no matter how much external enforcement we put in place, we're still unprotected because we don't have inner protection. And then he goes on to clarify that by stating it in the positive. Those who engage in good bodily conduct, good verbal conduct, and good mental conduct have themselves protected. So interesting. Even though we have all the squadron of external protections, we still are protected because it's an internal protection, not an external one. So let's look a little more closely at this. What is bodily misconduct? So you can reflect on this for yourself. What might that mean? What kind of actions might I be doing that are leaving myself unprotected, as well as causing harm to others? So as I was mentioning earlier, part of this is ethical character. And so in Buddhism, lay people such as ourselves often follow at least 5 precepts, or cultivate the intention through these precepts. And a lot of these apply here. So bodily misconduct, this would be undertaking the training to refrain from the destruction of life, not causing harm, not taking life. That would be a bodily misconduct. Another one would be undertaking the training to refrain from taking what isn't freely given, which would mean stealing or taking more than is offered to us, more than is our share, or what is freely given. Another bodily misconduct could be in the area of sensual and sexual desires, where we're causing harm through our sensuality and sexuality. And lastly, another bodily misconduct is intoxication, which leads to heedlessness. There's many different intoxicants these days, and to use our discernment to see at what point are we intoxicated to the extent that we are no longer mindful, heedful, careful, full of care. And to pay attention to that. It's an amazing practice to notice how fuzzy the line starts to get, and then how harmful the speech becomes, or the sexuality, or the greed, taking what isn't freely given, etc. They're very closely related, these things. So then to look at just this one, bodily misconduct, how would these things and many others that you could reflect on for yourself be leaving me unprotected? You see, if I'm causing harm in these ways through speech and action, well, I didn't talk about speech yet, but through bodily actions, it disturbs my heart and mind immensely. I then am filled with regret or shame or blame or aversion or turmoil, not peaceful. We know this, right? When we've done something that's caused harm, it's very painful, very painful. And then we either have to defend ourselves or justify or remove ourselves or avoid all these things. So all of my actions leave me unprotected, as well as, of course, not creating safety for other people. And then verbal misconduct, we have a pretty good idea what these are. This is, again, another one of the precepts, undertake the training to refrain from speaking falsely. So basically, not lying is verbal misconduct, but also includes gossiping, malicious speech, where we talk about others in ways that are harmful or meant to turn people against others. Idle chatter is often listed with verbal misconduct. You know, and this doesn't include, like, for lay people, you know, just social chatter. It's a beautiful evening tonight, or but it really was, this is geared towards monastics and not using our words skillfully. Included in verbal misconduct is harsh and harmful words, of course. There's a whole sutta called verbal daggers. It's you know, how we it's as if some are born with an axe in their mouth, and our words are cutting ourselves and each other. And so we can see that if I'm using verbal misconduct, that's leaving me unprotected. It's again causing that kind of shame or regrets. Regret is skillful, but shame is not skillful. Having to cut people out of our lives, you know, we know we've caused harm with our words. And then mental misconduct is another one here that they're saying it. Those who engage in mental misconduct leave themselves unprotected. So what would mental misconduct mean for you? So it might be proliferation or ruminating over something, going over it again and again. I'm sure we've all been there at times. And another mental misconduct would be fueling anger thoughts, aversion thoughts, or desire thoughts, and letting those really proliferate and grow and escalate. And so then they talk about it in the negative and then the positive, and then the Buddha replies, you know, yes, that's the way it is. You see that clearly, great insight of how this happens. And then the Buddha goes on to say this phrase: restraint with the body is good. Good is restraint with speech. Restraint with the heart is good. Good is restraint everywhere. Restraint everywhere conscientious, one is said to be protected. Restraint. Holding our tongue sometimes until the right time. Is it the right time? Is it the right words? Is it true? Will it be accepted? This is all part of wise speech. So restraining until we can be skillful. Restraining the body, certainly with acting out with aggression physically. Yes, please restrain that. But restraint also with our greed, or with our even aggression in the body and our energy. When we do this, we are protecting our hearts and minds when we restrain. And then it also says restraint with the heart is good. And that comes back to that the definition of this protection word, self-protection. It also said in the dictionary, control with reference to the heart, or heart-mind, chitta it's called, and good character. So there's the ethical, moral intentions of how we want to move in through our life with our speech and actions and our mind, our thoughts, but also restraint in the heart. And this is interesting. Because part of metta practice, a practice of loving kindness, friendliness, that is one of our meditative practices, one of the phrases that's often used is, may I be safe and protected. So here, this teaching is saying self-protection comes from within. And we also need boundaries. So the heart can remain connected with compassion, understanding when others are being unskillful, and then restraining our own reactivity, restraining our own withdrawing, cutting ourselves off, or numbing our heart, So how do we practice staying heart connected, compassionate? And yeah, it's an interesting phrase. I wish this was more of like a class where we could just really talk about it. For those of us on the Zoom after, maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, about what restraint with the heart may mean for you. Yeah. Because our teachings really point us to interconnectedness and heartfulness, heartful connection with all beings. And so what does it mean to have restraint there? I don't think it means cutting people out of our lives, or saying I have no care or compassion for you. But it can be, there's some teachings that describe letting people into your heart, but not necessarily into your home. That we don't have to be best friends with everybody. Some people are not safe to be in relationship with. And the heart can remain connected and still have some boundary. Yeah, that's kind of how it lands for me. So this is a very interesting teaching on self-protection. because we can think others are a danger to me, are causing me harm, are causing me stress, are being unskillful with their actions and their words and their minds. And it's a lot of kind of finger pointing and hands up and pushing away, like I'm not safe. And it's all of this other that is the problem. So what is this sutta inviting us to look at here? That self-protection is pointing to our own inner protection of our ethics, our speech, our actions, and our heart. That's the true self-protection. Do we allow ourselves to get triggered into reactivity, into lashing out, into fighting with harmful words, harmful actions, or misconduct in other ways? That's the only protection we really have, is our own conduct. Okay, enough talk. Let's practice. Yeah. So allow yourself to adjust your posture and dim your lights. You can lay down, sit, stand. You could walk nearby if you want to practice walking meditation. If you're practicing in the evening, it may be sleepiness or heat. So, or depending what time of year, it might be cold. So just check in with your body. What do you need? Allow yourself to discover what posture is going to be most supportive for you to be alert and relaxed. So if you want to practice laying down, that's fine. And if you want to stay alert with that, you might raise up your arm or bend your knees so that if you're falling asleep, that movement will wake you. And then taking time here to any final adjustments of your posture until you can come into some stillness. Stillness in the body eventually brings a calming and stilling of our energy and our minds. As the body comes to rest, finding also a resting place for your eyes. So that may be with a soft gaze out of a window or to a place in your room that feels helpful in terms of orienting yourself and landing in the present moment. Or the posture for the eyes might be closed if that feels supportive for calming. And some systems do best with the eyes slightly open and just resting downward. So there's a bit of light coming in. What's most helpful for you this evening? Allowing yourself to explore if sighing breaths feel helpful, just to release any extra tension that may be showing. And then these first few minutes of our practice are just coming into stillness and into relationship with ourselves in this present moment. So we can do this just by beginning to check in with our body, heart, mind, energy. What's here? Is there tension in the face that isn't needed, that could soften or widen or release? Anything asking for attention in the neck or shoulders? Inviting some softness or space with the areas of the heart and belly centers. Soft belly, as much as feels safe and available to you at this time. Peaceful hands. Grounded through the touch points of body with the surface that is supporting you, which might be felt through the back or the buttocks, legs or feet. Just feeling those touch points and allowing yourself to settle with them and feel supported by that. And then I'll offer these precepts as a heart practice. These precepts of ethical, moral values and intentions. Feeling into the area of the heart center, the center of the chest, and allowing our awareness to just meet whatever sensations are here this evening or whatever time you're practicing. One of the sensations may be simply the sensation of the touch of clothing or the movement that's happening from breath, or sensations of vibration or pulse. There may also be sensations of heaviness, hardness, or solidity. There can be also sensations of numbness or heartache. So whatever is showing for you is okay. We're just meeting this part of the body and seeing whatever is felt here right now. This is a cultivation with reference to the heart, or chitta as we've referred to the heart mind. And then I'll say these phrases, these precepts, and just allow your attention to rest in this area of the heart. I undertake the training to refrain from the destruction of life. as much as is available for you tonight or at this time. What resonates for you with this? Are there other words that capture your intention around not causing harm? And seeing this as a protection for others and self-protection. Understanding it's a training. To refrain from the destruction of life. Just allow yourself to stay connected with the body, heart, mind, sensations, floating this intention or this commitment, allowing other words to arise if they do, that describe your heart's intention. And then adding on to this heart intention, I undertake the training to refrain from taking what is not freely given. See what arises for you here. Maybe around not taking others' time that isn't freely offered or resources from the earth. Refrain from taking what is not freely given. And feel how this protects others, protects the earth, and protects you. And continuing with this heart exploration of bodily misconduct, we undertake the training to refrain from misconduct in the area of sensual and sexual desires, not causing harm with our sexuality and our sensuality. As much as possible, we're inviting this as an embodied exploration, feeling the sensations of this area of heart mind. What values, intentions resonate for you here? How do they protect you and others? And verbal misconduct. We undertake the training to refrain from speaking falsely. Feel into how this resonates for your heart, your aware heart. And then you can include intentions around harsh and harmful words, false speech, gossip, malicious speech. Protecting yourself and others. And I undertake the training to refrain from intoxication, which leads to heedlessness or carelessness. So this could fall under these areas of bodily, verbal, and mental misconduct. Connect with your heart, sensations, body, and your own intention of atarakita, self-protection. Around intoxication. From these beautiful intentions of heart, mind, and feeling into is if there's any sensation of protection that come from these restraints. See how your heart mind is protected, calm, peaceful, free of regret, free of shame and blame. And even in this felt intention and heart experience of protection, does it still feel available for you to connect with compassion and love, kindness for all beings, even while taking care? The Buddha said, restraint with the body is good. Good is restraint with speech. Restraint with the heart is good. Good is restraint everywhere. Restrained everywhere, conscientious. One is said to be protected. In these last few minutes of silence together, we'll take another 5 minutes of silence here, connecting as much as is available for you in this moment with this deep heart, mind intention, and practice of being conscientious, being conscious, aware. When we notice the attention has moved to other thoughts or objects, just gently come back. A few more moments. connecting with this awareness, self-protection, undisturbed, unreactive, protected. May I, may you, may all beings everywhere be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. Oops, let me just turn off that sound. I don't know this author, didn't have a chance to research them, but I will put it in, down below in the YouTube, and I'll put it here in our Zoom chat, this article. Let me just put that there, yeah. And this person, author Justin Whitaker, is speaking to this, or my take on it is that there's speaking about this thing around restraint with the heart is good. And they share this beautiful piece here about the Dalai Lama in Tibet. Just before finally fleeing to India, he was invited by the Chinese to a play or movie, and they gave him a sweet, flowery invitation filled with kind words, but also with the words, this is in quotes, "Please come alone." So Justin goes on to say, despite surely having a profound love for the Chinese, for all beings, this is Dalai Lama's practice, definitely, and not just practice, but heart way. The Dalai Lama and his advisors recognized that this was likely a ploy to kidnap or kill him. And so no matter how deeply the Dalai Lama's love for the Chinese people, for all beings, it would not have prevented them perhaps from causing harm. And so he's talking in this little article here about boundaries, about having boundaries of that the heart is still staying connected, and yet, physically, energetically, there's some places that it's not that it's unwise to be in relationship. Yeah, it's an interesting little article. So the link is here in our Zoom chat, and I'll also put it down below in the YouTube recording for you to reflect on. So for those that have joined on YouTube, thank you for joining. And I'll also link the sutta that we're referencing tonight down below. And there's also links to offer support for me to continue offering teachings if you're able. So thanks for joining us. And, yeah, good night for the YouTube folks.